So team building. Team building equals illicit, authentic expression. Now, illicit. You see illicit here too. Illicit reward. If I walk up to you and hand you a blue ribbon, you're going to be probably annoyed, like, oh, great, I got to deal with this now. Toss it, right? But if I have you do something, and then I give you the ribbon, I say, you know what? Say I have you, I say, you know what, man, we're going to give some sandwiches to these homeless people down here. Would you help me out and make some sandwiches? Let's make some sandwiches for these guys. Make the sandwiches, we go hand them out, and then I pull out this blue ribbon, or maybe a medal, or just something that has no inherent value, just a symbol. And I say, you know, that was really awesome of you. Here, take this. Remember what we did today. You're going to value that. You might put it in a drawer or keep it in your pocket or something like that, right? The military is great at this, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, you almost died. Here's a fucking ribbon. And then $1,000 a month for your PTSD. So what happens is there's an illicit and then there's a reward. You can't value something that you didn't work for, that you didn't perform for, that you didn't make an effort for. When we're team building, what work do we want? What effort do we want? Authentic expression. We elicit that and then we reward it. Okay? This is the pattern. This is it. Every tactic, all the strategy is based around this. Every tactic is this. This is every single fucking tactic is this. Every tactic that works. A tactic like walking up with a story, a routine about, demonstrating higher value or something like that. You're doing this before you did this. I'd much rather have the woman talking than me talking. Much more powerful. Because then I can reward it. Instead, I'm going up and performing for people. What's actually happening is they're doing this to me, and I'm waiting for the reward. So if you go up and you're performing, trying to be valuable, right? You may as well put a hat out and hope someone gives you some change. But you're not getting sex. No one's going to fuck you. Okay? Magicians get paid for a performance.
So why is respect, safety, and anticipation all too illicit? Like, how is that the pattern?
Watch this. You don't do these to get this. This gets these. I should actually reverse the arrows. Break this down. So the illicit reward pattern triggers respect. So if I walk up and I'm trying hard to impress you, no respect. If I walk up to a woman and I learn about her, obviously she's pretty, so I walk up to her, and then, I learn about who she is as a person. And then I use that as the reason why I'm interested. I use that as the reason why I touch her. If I say, you're pretty cool. I didn't know what you'd be like, but I'm having fun talking to you. Let's do this again. I want to see you again. That's the reward. Triggers respect. Respect. Oh, he's not just out to get laid. He's not desperate. He's not just looking for a hole, right? He has standards. Okay? He's not going to give his time to someone who doesn't deserve it. So we got respect. Safety. You're not a rapist. But also, that's physical safety. There's also emotional safety. Now, she feels like she can be herself with you. When she's being herself, she gets your interest. She gets your time and attention. She gets rewarded for that. I mean, think about your best friends. These are people you feel like you can be yourself with. When you don't feel like you can be yourself with someone, you don't want to hang out with them. That's why people hate networking, right? Now, the funny thing is, I'm great at networking because I'm doing this. We had a big networking thing. We went to some, it was a meetup thing, internet marketing thing out here. And I probably met way more people than everyone else. Keep in mind, I'm an introvert. I know it doesn't seem like because I'm talking about, but I'm quiet. I'm an introvert. I need a lot of time by myself. I get, after this weekend, I'm going to be, in my room or at the gym by myself for a few days, right? So, and yet I met more people and had zero anxiety than everyone else. I also made a lot of powerful connections, and I had people wanting to do business with me. Saying, "Hey, well, do you have a car? Let's talk some more." And I found out who I would want to collab with and who not. Okay. Whereas everyone else is, and this is why they typically will serve drinks at networking things, is everyone else is like, "Oh my gosh, I want to make a good impression." Value over values on their part. Illicit reward. This is the cool one now. Anticipation. Anticipation of what? Well, initially it's sex. And then I'm going to get into this and how female sexuality basically, but what you're basically saying is, think about the ribbon or the gold medal, right? Your dick carries a lot of meaning, potential meaning. So in the same way with that ribbon, it's got a lot of potential meaning. What does it really mean? I don't know. It could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing, couldn't it? But like your cock actually could be the worst thing in the world or the best thing in the world. I don't know anything else like that, right? It's interesting, right? Could get back into the lingam thing and the yoni and all that, but basically, what you're saying here is you're going to get some good sex out of this. You're going to get some good dick, basically. Okay? If I say, basically what I'm saying is, I don't just give this to anybody. Why? Because it's valuable. It's good. Right? And I only have so many hours in a day. I can only get it up so many times in one day. So, but that's just sort of a representation or a symbol of essentially making her feel desirable. The man says, "I want you." The female says, "I want you to want me." Right? I got that from David Data too. I got to find out where he gets his stuff from. That's what I've always been about. Guy at Tuna Tantra is pretty much where he gets all his stuff from. And then I think he created a cult out of that. So that triggers anticipation, right? If you touch a woman after she's shown you something, right, she's gonna sense that touch is gonna feel better. She's gonna want more of that. Now, she's given you control. And it happens very quickly. So here's how it works. I elicit an iota of authentic expression from the woman. I show her with my eyes that I like it, and maybe I put my hand on her back. And then I relate. I say something about myself. When I do that, when I look at her, hand on the back, there's a moment where she decides, and it's not a conscious decision, it's more of a feeling of receptivity or giving control. It happens very quickly. A lot of times it happens slow, though. If a woman's checking you out, she's saying, come over and take control to some degree, okay? Double meaning of pace. Pace meaning keeping pace, but pace can mean setting the pace or keeping pace. In the same way you ride your edge, you keep your eyes on the abyss, on the unknown. With a woman, you're always at the edge of her comfort if you want to move fast. And it varies. If it's a warm situation, social circle, she knows you, you're going to have more leeway. Maybe you missed an opportunity. She says, well, maybe I'll see him again. Hopefully, we'll get the clue next time. If you just met the woman, you got 5-10 minutes to create a sexual spark, right? Or light a sexual spark. You don't want to be missing opportunities, right? So that's how the illicit reward happens. And right in here is where control is given. You can see it can happen pretty quickly. Okay? There's a little flame there. This is where the sexual spark happens. Okay? Okay, pedestal and predicament. This is about women now. This is awareness. About 12,000 years ago, we went from being guests in a universe, or being part of a universe as being a small part of the universe, to trying to control it or own it. So if you look at any hunter-gatherer tribes, any paleo tribes that are still around, their mythos, their worldview, is that they're part of something greater. And I stay on top of this kind of stuff, what it seems like is there was a huge change in the Earth's climate for a few hundred to 1,000 years, the end of the Ice Age, and they're thinking that, well, some people, like non-conformist status quo-seeking scientists, are saying that it sounds like there was some sort of asteroid that hit and hit the polar ice caps, or up north, like northern Canada area, and melted a ton of ice and broke off a ton of ice caps, raised the water level. This is probably where all the flood myths come from. So before then it was colder, and there were certain places that were above water and weren't. And that changed. And for a window of time, the human population got dropped down. It was like a funnel and got squeezed. And they think maybe only 30,000 people were on the planet for a while at that time. It got dropped down to that. And what happened after that was kind of a new way of operating, which would have been farming, the agricultural revolution. Because the planet's crazy, right? It's up and down, it's fluctuating, it's unpredictable. Well, the way to ensure, before then, you just hunt and the earth provides, there's abundance. Well, now we need to make sure we have food 6 months from now. So farming comes about. Seems like probably in the Fertile Crescent. And the earth the land goes from being something that you take what you need from and you honor and you're grateful to it, you're part of it, to now something that you control, you own. Land becomes something you own. It's a very different way of thinking. Then animals, domesticate livestock, right? Now animals, other sentient beings, become property. What's the next step? Land, animals,
Women.
people, slaves, and women. To protect your land and your animals, that's your food now. Your little farm, your crops, that's your food. That's your family's food. And as we're no longer sharing in this area, now what we have is a situation where land is starting to become more and more scarce in a given area. So this is creating conflict because we're talking about my food now. How do you protect land and animals and people when it's about survival? Force, violence, brute force, physical force. That becomes the new MO, the way to live now. Between men and women, now who has the power?
Men.
Men. It's not even close. I mean, if you've ever wrestled with a woman, even if she's in good shape, it's not even close. So women become less valuable than men, and thus land, animals, people, now they're property. If a woman is property, what makes her valuable property? What's her function?
Reproduction.
Reproduction, right? So her value now becomes her lack of sexual history. If your resources are scarce or there's competition for them, you don't want to waste them on someone who's having babies with another person, another man. Now men are determining what's valuable, what's not. And with women, the value is not having sex with other men. And this is where you see the Abrahamic religions arising. Abrahamic religions are all about controlling women. That's their fundamental premise. Islam, Judaism, Christianity, well.
Christianity is a lot about controlling a mass.
Yeah. But how do you control the mass? As men, what do we want to do? I wake up with a heart on every day. So how do they say, hey, put your dick away and do what I want you to do? You dangle the carrot in front of the horse. Do what you're supposed to do, then you can have sex. Islam is a very obvious example of this shit. They dangle fucking 40 virgins or whatever it is in front of guys and blow themselves up. It's an extreme example, but Okay, so now women know that a woman is born she's a human being. She has a sex drive. She learns very quickly that she has to hide that. Okay? Very much like a couch on Craigslist. The more it's used, the less valuable it is. So women now are being used rather than enjoyed. Prior to this, if you look at paleo societies, the people that run the show, kind of, that have power, are going to be shamans. Shamans are there for you. They're not middlemen to God. Okay? They're trying to help you see that you're part of being in whatever crazy way they have. Gays, homosexuals are seen as valuable. They in a lot of cultures they're valuable because they can see both sides, right? Now, obviously, now that's not the case. See, because gays don't, you can't dangle the carrot in front of a gay guy, right? It's hard to control, right? So he's sinful. Get your shit together or you're going to hell, right? Chase the carrot or you're going to hell. Women creating new life, mothers, that's power, that's value, okay? Women in terms of, if you look at cultures that are still living probably close to how they were back then, a woman's value is not so much her physical beauty, but her skills at things. So that's you hear things like, and this is just coming from like National Geographic documentaries and stuff. So talk to a guy who's it's getting time to choose a wife and all this kind of stuff. He said, well, she's a good hunter. She's skilled. She's a good knitter. She would make a good wife, right? It's not. She's got a fat ass. It's never that, is it? So, coming out of that, now what we have is women, females, growing up in a system where their fundamental sexual nature is bad. And it can only be expressed under certain conditions, and those conditions have changed. But the fact that they can only be expressed under certain conditions is in itself problematic. Being good, right? That's the black mark on humanity. That a woman is good if she hasn't had sex, or just a little bit of sex, right? And if she has, she's bad. It's shameful. So, women learn this. They learn they have to hide it. To take it a step further, let's say you really love pizza. Love pizza. But every time you eat pizza, people call you bad. Okay? What's going to happen over time is you are going to, if you keep thinking about pizza and how delicious it is, that you're just torturing yourself. So what a lot of women start to do is just repress that in themselves, their own sexuality. And they'll start believing it. They'll buy into the good, bad thing. To the point where their sexuality is completely unconscious. In that book, What Do Women Want? Finally, an actual woman studying women using science there's a device, sounds like it's shaped like a small vibrator, goes inside the woman and has sensors for electromagnetivity. What's the right word? Electromagnetivity. On the skin?
Yeah, electromagnetivity.
Magnetism. Senses heat, blood flow, and electromagnetivity, which magnetism. Basically, is she getting aroused or not? They show the women different videos. A video of a neutral, like a landscape, like mountains. A video of like monkeys having sex. A video of a naked guy just stretching and hanging out at the beach. A video of a woman doing the same thing. A video of two guys getting it on, two girls getting it on, and then a straight couple. And what's interesting is the women got turned on for all of it, except the mountains. But when they asked them which one turns you on the most, their answers correlated to what you would be expected to answer. The straight couple, maybe the guy, then the woman, the lesbian couple, all the stuff that's okay. The two gay guys, not so much. The monkeys, definitely not. Right?
Yeah.
So you can see that the women. Now, what's interesting is then they asked the women the same questions, but they said, "We're going to give you a lie detector test to see if you were being honest." And then the answers got a little closer to what the device was actually measuring, okay, or detecting. With men, they did the same study, only it wasn't a thing that goes in. It was like it would have been a way of sensing like their erection or whatever. Men are a lot more rigid in what turns them on. And duh, I mean, I'm still turned on by the shit that turned me on when I was 15. I haven't changed at all.
Yeah.
But you know, I wouldn't even be able to jerk off to monkeys or guys or, you know, two guys or one guy or anything like that. I wouldn't even be able to, I'd have to think about something else. Women are a lot more varied and flexible in terms of their sexuality. Women are extremely sexual, I would say more so than men. And I think this is just a theory, but I think it's because pregnancy, there's so much risk that desire would have to outweigh that. Otherwise, we'd be extinct. So women have to be turned on more so because it has to overcome a fear that men don't have. So we can see this everywhere. It's pretty obvious. Sex toys. Oh my God, go into an adult toy store. It's all for women. What do guys have? Like the fleshlight. That's it. You know? Women have all kinds of crazy gadgets. Women can have multiple orgasms. Women can have orgasms from, I've been with women who could orgasm from me just licking their nipples or kissing them on their neck. Women can have orgasms from talking. Women have told me they're always a little bit wet. And if they need to get wet, they can do it like that. I can't do that with my dick. I can just get hard. Women can. The clitoris has no purpose other than sexual pleasure. Think about the expressions, the responses, the behaviors during sex. Who's more expressive, more vocal? Who seems to be kind of getting more out of it? Women can be totally satisfied without an orgasm. A lot of women, I think way more than will admit it, are bisexual, and have at least once, if not many times, experimented with other women. You can see this everywhere. And the biggest clue, aside from all that, is how fucking hard society works to assert that women aren't sexual. Right? What's the line from Shakespeare? I think it's from Macbeth. Methinks he doth protest too much.
The lady doth protest.
The lady doth protest too much. Yeah.
Mm.